Welcome to Decorating Tips and Tricks. I'm Anita Joyce with Kelly Wilkness, and this is episode 295. Wireless is a lie. How to deal with all those cords. The show notes for today's episode can be found at decoratingtipsandtricks.com/295. I really dislike all those cords. That's such a hassle.
Ugh. Don't even get me started. And speaking of getting started, this whole episode is inspired by our listener and friend, Darcy H. Darcy had written into us. She has a husband who's a tech geek. He likes all these little gadgets and things that need wires and chargers and all this great stuff. And Darcy, she's a gardener. She loves decorating. I'm sure she loves her phone and wants it to be fully charged, but she doesn't want to see any wires.
No, we don't want to see them.
I don't want to see any wires. No. And when we were doing the house here, I had plenty of time to dial up to getting this house going because, as you know, it took a long time for us to get it, make it our own. And so I got to think about placement of things like electrical outlets and how I was going to avoid seeing any of those and where all the wires were going to go. And my electrician would look at me and he would go, I know you want it to light up, but you don't want to see any wires. I know. It's like, I'm not a magician. I'm an electrician, but there are ways to get around it and live with the wires, and have them have a minimal impact on your decorating and your sanity and all of that stuff. Because I also live with somebody who really enjoys tech and the latest and greatest and always feels like, more wires are better and is always looking for some HDMI cord or something. I don't even know if I'm getting it right, but is always looking for something that the eyebrow is raised that I may have thrown out. But I learned, and I do have several Ziploc bags filled with wires, and I know where I have them in case anybody asks.
Yeah, but you have no idea what it is, do you?
No, I don't really. I say, is it in here? But in two words combined that I really have a utter disdain for are power strip.
Oh.
Because that is just a magnet for ugly wires.
Well, yes. However, it can, if it can potentially save something from being fried. So, I mean, not all power strips, but,
Yeah. Okay. I'd rather live on the edge. Live on the edge of fried. Yes. But the power strip with all those outlets just invites more wires. You're like, hey, we have more outlets. Let's get more things that need to be
right.
And
as a photographer too, as we're doing pictures for our blogs, that's a real problem. And sometimes the cord is showing. And so I admit to getting rid of it in Photoshop. So people say, where are the wires? And so I have to say, oh, they were Photoshopped out, but they are there. But there are some things that you can do that don't require Photoshop so that
because in real life, you can't just Photoshop
No, that's
it out.
right. Because you probably have real people in your house, whereas we just have virtual guests looking at pictures.
Well, also, if you're looking, I was just helping a client find a television console sort of thing. And it wasn't going to be one that wrapped around. It was just going to be one with the TV sort of on the wall and this rather long, narrow piece under it. And I noticed that in almost every one of the sites that I went to looking for these various incarnations of this piece, there were never any wires to be seen from going from the television to, whatever the important stuff was.
Photoshop.
Or they just never plugged the TV in. The TV wasn't going on, and they took the picture of it, and it looks great. But you have to think like, what? Well, unless you put them inside the wall, where are those?
And so
cords?
when I've had photographers come for magazine shoots at my house, I can tell you their little secret, but it's a very inelegant solution, and that is duct tape. So any lamps, they unplug them. Well, that's the other thing. The thing they often do is just unplug them and then tie up the wire and hide it. But if they can't do that, then they just kind of tuck it, they just tape it on the bottoms of tables and then down the back of the leg with duct tape. But, that can leave a gooey mess. So we're going to give you some other ideas. But that's certainly something that if you were really wanted to do something, you didn't have time to go to the store to buy something, that's certainly an option for you.
Yeah. Yeah. For, a quickie solution. But the fact is, you need to plug these things in. They need to be in the outlets. The wires need to be attached. You need to have your items charged. You want to have your lamp go on when you turn it on. And we're really talking about today's more like the tech gadgets. Like, how do you manage all of those things? Because there's, technology is a part of the fabric of our lives. It's not going away. And I don't think anybody really, maybe some people want to live off the grid, but I don't think anybody really wants it to go away. But we want to be able to find a way to manage the influx of the wires. So we've got a bunch of ideas. Darcy, this was a great topic. And I think a lot of people are probably wrestling with this. So, I thought we'd start with the bigger items like the televisions and how do you deal with that? Well, other than the big screen TV that we have out in our barn, we pretty much all watch television to the extent that we do watch it on our iPads in our house. So I know that's kind of like pretty hardcore, but other than like then charging your iPad somewhere, we don't have to deal with that whole thing inside my house. So, I mean, that's something you might want to just sort of open up your mind to, because we had a television in the family room. We had a television in the bedroom, and I was designing around them and working around them and dealing with the wires and the direct TV boxes and all that stuff. It's all gone.
Well, at our house, the girls each have an armoire with a TV in it. So it's not a big TV and they can close the doors, and the wires are all like inside the armoire and then hidden kind of behind it. In our bedroom, I've never had a TV. We've never had a TV in our bedroom, and that's by choice. I've chosen not to do that. And if I'm watching TV by myself, I do the same thing. I watch it on my laptop. It actually doubles as a tablet. You can turn it upside down and it becomes a tent. And then you can watch TV that way. But we do still watch TV on the big TV in the living room. And, the house is just 5 years old. So we had it built in with the doors. And so it gets, the plug is behind the TV and you don't see the wires. But, another thing you could do is if you see the wires and we're going to be talking about covering them. But, one option is to have the electrician come and run those wires through the wall and put a switch on the wall or something on the wall where you're not having to see them. And that's really a great option to consider also for the TV.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thought that I had, like, as I'm telling you, I was working with this client trying to find this piece of furniture, and the TV was going to go on. It could sit on it, but she didn't really want to see the feet. So more than likely it was going to hang on the wall, but be not too far above this piece of furniture. And I think a lot of people have a situation like that. And then it's sort of open around the television. And she just really didn't want to see even those few wires coming down from the TV going into the back of this piece of furniture. So a solution that I thought of there is, dough bowls are so popular now, and the long one, the one that would be more sort of like a baguette shape, that could go under the television, and you could have it just sit there, and you could put various things in it. You could put willow balls in it. You could put some faux greenery in it. You could put fruit in it. I would not put anything that was particularly distracting, because, if you're trying to enjoy the television, then, you don't want something sticking up and in the way. But you could put something low there, or a trough type of thing with maybe some greens in it, something like that, just to sort of soften it, and you'd be covering those wires that are coming down.
Oh, yeah,
there.
just kind of, so you're just having something in front of it. It's not actually covering the wire per se, but you're just kind of blocking the view of the wires. Is that what you're saying?
Blocking the view.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And then another way to do it that I saw on Pinterest, I guess it was, is, and this won't work for everyone, but it's an idea, is to paint the wall behind the television black. And I saw that once. I saw it someplace, and then I searched for it, and oh my gosh, some of the images that came in were pretty spectacular. Particularly if the television is on some sort of wall that can be like more of an accent wall where it's separate, and so it would make sense to have it look a little bit different than the other ones. Then any sort of wire you're seeing coming out of that television really just fades away.
Oh, yeah. But the other thing you could do is if you had some paint that matched the wall, couldn't you just paint the cords to match the wall color too? I mean, I'm just thinking, let's save ourselves painting that whole wall black.
Yeah. Well, I got all carried away with the black paint. I thought it looked really cool. But yes, it's so true. It's definitely true. But I have to say, some of the stuff when you look up, like hiding wires and whatnot, be careful out there. There's a lot of people doing a lot of silly stuff with toilet paper rolls out there, or like, wrapping paper rolls. And then, you put glitter on them, and then you wrap and you slice them, and then you put all your wires inside of it.
And then if there's a spark,
you don't see the wires. Right. Well, but the silly part of it is that, like, lots of times just adding more stuff doesn't make the thing you didn't like go away. Right? It just makes it like kind of look worse.
Where you're just staring at it because you're like, is that a toilet paper roll? Honey, what is that?
Exactly. Did you drop a toilet paper roll behind the television? So, I think you have to be really careful. There's a ton of YouTube videos and stuff about all this sort of thing. And the fact is, if you want to have a television, there's going to be wires. You can decide, maybe we don't need DirecTV anymore too. So, that limits it. There's lots of ways that you might be able to limit what's going on and take a look at the amount of wires you have going into your television. Cable, DirecTV, all of that is always going to add their additional wires. But okay, so that's like a bigger thing. But then obviously lots of smaller devices, phones, AirPods, I have an Apple Watch that needs to be charged. All these things, whether they need to be plugged in themselves or they need to be on some sort of charging device, need outlets and will require wires. So, how do you deal with that sort of thing? First off, I would say if you have an office or if you have a designated area where all of this happens, whether it be a large office, a small office, or even just a small charging station somewhere, that at least will contain the wires.
Yeah. Something I've seen online that I think is really an elegant solution is I guess it's rubber or kind of a pliable plastic that goes right along the top of your baseboard that you can run wires in. And if you put it all the way around the room, it would just look like part of the baseboards and you wouldn't be so obvious. And you can kind of use that to hide them from, just kind of, obviously there's going to be a few places where they come in to the outlet and then go out to the, whatever they're attached to. But that's a nice thing to do too. I looked at some online and thought, that really doesn't look bad.
Yeah, I saw those too. So it actually looks like it's part of the molding. And if you have, if you have a base molding with any sort of profile to it, it just looks like it's like another little bit of the profile, just another bump. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how you attach those things, but I thought they were definitely
probably just are self-adhesive, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting because the thing is you don't really want the wire, coming over the side of the desk and then going under the desk and then going back into the wall. And then you're seeing all of this. And then, oh my gosh. And if you have one of those nasty power strip things, and then there's a lot of wires going to the one thing, and then you have that big power strip coated plug. I just hate that. I hate everything about that.
If you're building a new house, you can do what we did in the bathroom. And that is, I have 2 pull-out drawers on either next to each sink, and they have an outlet in the drawer. So we can plug it. Well, the reason I put them in there, of course, I do use it for our phones and things. But I used it, well, for one thing, the hairdryer, it's hairdryer storage, and you can plug the hairdryer in there. But the other thing is the electric toothbrush, because it's, where are you going to put that? And I hate looking at that if I'm not, I don't want to see my electric toothbrush all the time. So that's where you could put that. Yeah. But really, if I thought about it, I would have made it maybe a little more, but we can put our cell phones there, but I think that's a great place to have your cell phone charging too. So, that's something to think about if you're building. If you're not, if you've already built your house, then that becomes a little more difficult to add later on.
Right. But there is an idea of doing something, and now you're saying, we have that in the bathroom. I think that's brilliant. But what if you don't have that, but you'd like to create some enclosed charging station? So what if you had some sort of almost like a bread box?
Yeah,
I was
picturing a bread box before you even said that.
Right. So, and maybe you cut an opening in the back or something, and it just sits in front of an outlet that I'm picturing, like maybe on your kitchen counter, or, if you have a butler's pantry or some other where it's not in the busiest part of your kitchen, some other area, or in an office where you can just maybe cut a rectangle in the back and you can slide it up to an existing outlet. And then you can put your phone in there. You can put your AirPods. You could put your Apple Watch, or 3 phones, or whatever your family has, all in there, and then you can just close
Well,
it.
don't you think that, and again, I wish I had thought of this for closets. I love that idea. And I'm thinking, that would have been smart for me to have that idea in our closet. I didn't really think of it, but doesn't that seem like something that's probably coming for the future? Or, I mean, you could design it now if you thought of it, is put something in your closets when they're being built that's a charging station for everything.
Yeah,
where the wires are already run in there, and then you're not seeing it sitting out on the counter, because it's like you said, you've got your laptop, you've got your iPad, you've got your, phone, and there's so many things that have to be charged. And, I have actually an outlet underneath my sofa. So sometimes I charge things under the sofa where you don't see them.
That's very sneaky.
I do what I can.
Don't you just love a great recommendation from a friend? Well, we're delighted to be recommending these companies and their wonderful products to you today. And let them know your friends at DTT sent you. BritBox just keeps getting better. The new Archie is amazing. And it's not the comics. It's about Cary Grant. Archie is the brand new limited series starring Jason Isaacs as Archie Leach, the man who became Cary Grant. From the award-winning screenwriter of Philomena, Archie tells Grant's born in Britain, made in Hollywood story, the dramatic grit to glamour transformation that led him to become one of the most famous people in the world. You are going to absolutely love the acting, but also the styling, the outfits, the scenery. It's the first time his story has been told in collaboration with his daughter Jennifer Grant and ex-wife Diane Cannon. The performances from Jason Isaacs and the rest of the cast are amazing, and it's only available on BritBox. So sign up for BritBox today to stream Archie and other fan favorites from any device. And we have a special limited time offer for our U.S. and Canadian listeners. Get 50% off, yes, that's 50% off your first month when you sign up for a monthly plan. But only if you go to BritBox.com and use our promotion code DTT at checkout. You're going to love Archie. So head over right now and get 50% off your first month of BritBox. Use the promotion code DTT at BritBox.com. Green Chef is a delicious delight any time of year, but especially during the holidays. What a wonderful vision to behold as the Green Chef boxes on your doorstep. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating well. And it makes eating well so easy with plans to fit every lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat a more balanced diet. So let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season. And if you've got guests coming, shop Green Bundles. They're now available at the Green Market. It's your one-stop shop for nutritious grab-and-go breakfasts, including vegan options, brunch kits, wholesome lunches, ready-to-eat snacks, veggie sides, and more. You can feel your best this December and do your best with Green Chef because they offset 100% of the delivery emissions as well as 100% of the plastic in every box. Go to greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT and get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT to get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. I want to remind you that we are available for design consults. We take on your design dilemmas, questions, renovations, any project you want to talk about, any room, any space, we are here for you. And we really do enjoy doing these. And I think we've helped people a lot. So if you want to sign up for a consult, head to the link in the show notes. It's decoratingtipsandtricks.com/consult. We hope to talk to you soon. I have another thought. I have Peter got for me, and then everybody loved it. And so we got ones for the girls too. It's a mini charging station now because I have the Apple Watch. So mine charges my phone. And as Anita has told you, I am an Apple girl. So I have my iPhone, I have my AirPods, the little container that holds those. And then there's another section on it where I can put my Apple Watch. So all three things. So if you're an Apple person too, this would be a great charging station for you. And I'll ask Peter where he got it, and we'll put that in the show notes. But it's this slick little muted silver toned station. And so all the wires sort of just go through that. So it's more, you can't do away with them. So it's kind of about organizing in them and condensing them. So this condenses everything into one little unit. And it's a pretty looking little item. And it just sits where my computer does in my office. The other thing that you want to do is, as we're saying, like keep the wires hidden. You can't do without them. So try a plug mold. I've mentioned those to you guys before with regard to under counter lighting, and I've used them in my kitchen. We also have them in the offices, and it is a long strip that is very thin. It is only akin to a power strip in that it has a lot of outlet plugs in it, opportunities for things to be plugged in. Long and thin, it can be hardwired or it can be plugged into an outlet, but you can affix it to the wall. So you can affix it like right under your desk, if it's attached to a wall, if it's pushed up against a wall, or if it's a desk that's built into the wall. So you don't see all the outlets and then the wires coming down and dripping down and then plugging into the outlets. So you keep it all tucked up under there. And then if you have an extra wire, then you can just do a little twisty tie and control it all and just tie it up because the wire doesn't have to be all stretched out.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Oh, that was probably one of the best things we ever did in this house, as far as I'm concerned. Like, wow.
Well, and if you have the lights, the electrical wall sconces, we kind of talked about this before, but the kind that plug in, there's some hard straight covers you can get to put on them on the wall where it kind of disguises them. It just kind of makes it, you still see it, but it's just much neater looking. It's just a very straight thing. It's not, your eye isn't as drawn to it because it just looks like kind of part of the wall. And those could be painted again to the same color as your wall where they wouldn't stand out. But that's something that would, I think, really help cover them up.
Oh, yeah, because I love the idea of sconces, but paying to hardwire them is it's expensive and it's messy. I never thought about painting them because I always said, oh, yeah, I have them in the metal, the color of the sconce. Oh,
well, you can do that too.
A good idea.
You can do the metal ones and then you don't have to. I think that's a great idea. And it's kind of, then you're just, this doesn't always work, but I think that for that instance, it's fine to make something functional more decorative. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And just jumping back to the desk again, with the wires. So obviously if you have some very expensive or lovely desk that you wouldn't want to make a hole in, or if your desk is sort of floating in the middle of the room, which I think is more like your house.
Yeah,
Anita,
I think it's 19th century French in the middle of the room. So yes, I'm not drilling.
So you
don't
want to be like, no, you don't want to be like calling the guy with that drill thing that makes the hole. But a small office inside the house, we just made an expanse of wood and painted it, and that's our desktop there, and it just runs across pretty much the length of the room, and it's all against the wall. So I had the carpenter just make those round holes where all the wires can be fished through.
Well, that's what I did in the office because there's the built-in desk and then there's the fancy desk that I sit at. And those are what you just said. I have a hole drilled in the cabinets where the monitor wires go down, and then the CPU is actually in the cabinet to the right of my knee hole. So it's all connected.
The CPU is next to your knee hole. What's a knee
That's
hole?
where your knees go. In the built-in.
Oh, you mean, okay. I see. Okay, a knee hole. I was like, what's a knee hole? I should know that. Was
Where your
obvious.
knees go.
So, yeah, there's a lot of ways you can try to hide the wires.
And you haven't mentioned this yet, or at least I don't think you have. It's something I found on Amazon where it looks almost like a PVC tube that would go along the back of a desk where you wouldn't see it. And all the wires run through that. And then you could direct them down behind one leg. So it kind of affixes to the back of the desk.
Oh, that's smart. Much better than the toilet paper rolls, which I guess is probably what they were trying to do with those, but I'm not really sure.
Right. That's scary. Okay, so a couple of things, though. One is if you are charging things in a box, you're like, hey, I'm going to use this cover to charge things. Be sure, when the charging process does create heat. So you really do want to make sure that you're not going to fry your electronics. Make sure that it's going to vent properly. So just be careful about that because you don't want it to create so much heat because, it's not really good for your electronics. So check that out when you open whatever up or make sure there's some place where it's going to be able to vent. Just keep an ie on that and make sure there's nothing.
No, that's a good
and
idea.
you don't, if there's any place that might be any kind of spark, you don't want it in a toilet paper, thing. No. But again, another place that I added the outlet that I'm so thrilled that I did was in my pantry. And that's where all my appliances are plugged in, the toaster and some other things. But yeah, so one of the things too is just kind of think about where are you charging your phone? Maybe there's a place that you can charge it where you're not going to have to look at it all the time. Maybe there's some outlet in an out of the way place where you're not going to have to see it while it's being charged. So kind of think about where it is that you're charging it. You might be able to move it somewhere.
Yeah, isn't that simple? Yeah, just really rethinking your habits.
Oh, well, that's what I was going to say. I forgot. That's where what was the other point? That's where I put the printer. So there's not a bunch of wires to the printer. I used my printer's on Wi-Fi, so it's not hardwired to the CPU. And then I hid it in the closet. So there you go.
So I saw this other cool thing. It's cable clip organizers. So this is really to prevent fallen wires. And I know my husband has his Apple Watch charger plugged in sort of behind the bed, and then the wire is not all that long, and it sort of snakes up onto the side, and he has it on his shelf there. But if I'm making the bed, 9 times out of 10, I knock that little thing down. And then I'm like, sticking my head under there, and I'm like kind of stuck under there and you can't see and you're feeling around. So this, for $9, this little cable clip organizers, I don't know, it looks like you get like 6 or 8 of them. And it's just this little tiny round thing that probably has some sort of adhesive on the back. And the wire just sticks right in there. So you don't have to be searching around on the ground for the wire. So, that might be a good thing for somebody who got going on what we've got going on, where you've got something at the bedside and it might fall and it's just hard to get the wire, or the wire's shorter. So you want it to be lifted and tucked in exactly where you want it. So just we can put a link to that. And another cute thing that I saw that might be helpful for traveling with your wires, or just if you got something in your purse. I have wireless AirPods now, which I really like. So I would, they do need to be charged, but they come in their little case, but they don't have any wire, which is nice. These are cord tacos, and CB2 makes them. So Crate and Barrel too. So there's just these little things that are shaped like tacos. They're little pieces of leather with a snap. I mean, it's so simple. And you get 5 of them for $30, and they come sort of metallics and a different maybe selection of colors. But you coil up your wires and then snap the little taco around them, and they don't get all jumbly in your bag.
Oh, nice.
I thought that was
nice.
So cute.
And while you're charging your phone, I'm just going to say this. I know we all keep our phones near us, but you really don't need it next to you while you're sleeping. So I do recommend, from what I've read, to keep your phone at least 6 feet from your head while you're charging it. I mean, if it's on while you're sleeping, because of the EMF, the electromagnetic field from your phone, it's probably, best to keep it a little further away from you. So I don't charge my phone next to my bed.
Inevitably, with the new year come wellness goals. One very effective and easy to reach goal is to add Dose to your wellness regime. Dose is expertly formulated organic wellness shots that support your liver in one delicious drink. Formulated with ingredients clinically shown to support liver health. Potent turmeric, milk thistle, and ginger. There's 0 sugar and 0 calories. Did you know that your liver performs over 500 special functions? Since I learned all that my liver is doing, I started with Dose to support all those vital functions. I take a shot of refreshing Dose 2 times per week to combat everyday toxins from food, meds, alcohol, and unhealthy air. Since starting with Dose about a month ago, I am definitely feeling an overall improvement in my health. So if you want to give Dose a shot and invest in your health like I have, Dose is offering DTT listeners 15% off your first order, plus an additional 15% off if you subscribe for a monthly delivery. That's 30% off your first order. So go to dosedaily.co/DTT and use the code DTT. That's dosedaily.co.co/DTT and use the code DTT. Pesto pork chops over Parmesan polenta. Not that easy to say, but oh so easy to make with Green Chef. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit company for eating well, and we have such a great deal for you. You're going to save $250. Listen on for the details on that. Green Chef makes eating well easy for any lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat more balanced meals. We're getting into the busy holiday season, so it's a perfect time to have Green Chef help you out. Let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season with their chef-crafted, nutritionist-approved recipes featuring fresh ingredients and nothing artificial. And you know what? You don't have to lose track of your healthy eating habits during the holidays. Every Green Chef customer gets a free session with their registered dietitians who will walk you through how to make clean eating work for you. So sign up for your free session and start on the road towards better health today. And that deal I want to tell you about, visit greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order. So that's greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order. Yeah, I think that's
if you've turned it off, I think it's fine. But if it's on, I wouldn't leave it there.
Oh, sure. Okay. So is that just if you have it, or is that only if you're charging it?
I think it's if it's on.
So if
it's on, it has the EMF. But if it's off, it doesn't.
Right. But like all day long, we all
I know.
Heads,
it's
right?
not good. I know. Yeah. But if you're asleep, at least, you're not using it. So.
You don't.
That's why they said don't put your phone, when you're talking. When the cell phones came out, they said don't put it next to your head to talk on it. That's really too close. So.
Right.
Yeah. Something to think about.
Okay. I had another thought. Those jewelry, travel jewelry things that kind of come in a roll?
Yes.
Sometimes they're made of fabric or something like that. Well, just kind of riffing off that taco idea. If you have one of those, sometimes you get those as a gift or whatever. You might have a few of them. That might be a good place to keep your extra wires. Because even sometimes when you get a new device, you get new wires and maybe you don't even need all of them, or you have a lot of cubes. I just have a lot of things like that. And I thought, well, that might be a good place to keep all those things where they didn't, if you just put them in a little bag, somehow when you put those wires in a little bag, do they just on purpose tangle themselves up together? Because you don't put them in tangled up. And then when you go to take them out, they're all somehow knotted and tangled up. I don't actually know how that happens all the time. So I haven't tried this myself, but you might want to think about that. If you have one of those travel jewelry organizers, it might be a good place for your wires to go when you're on the go, or just the extra ones, and you could keep them in your desk drawer.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
So we'll put a lot of the links that we have talked about today in the show notes in case that anybody's interested. I'm sure that Darcy H and I are not alone in our disdain of the wires and how I'm wondering how to deal with all of them. So I hope we gave you some good ideas today on ways that you might control all of that. So remember, we're here to inspire you to create a beautiful home. Until next time. Hey, everybody, we want to thank you so much for listening to Decorating Tips and Tricks. And we want to make it even easier for you to listen. And it's easier if you subscribe. You just click the subscribe button on our website, www.decoratingtipsandtricks.com, or you can subscribe through Apple Podcast or any of your favorite podcast listeners. So until next time.